Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stand. Manchester United 7, Burnley 0. Absolutely fantastic, absolutely incredible. In the words of Gary Barlow, absolutely fantastic, Mark. It was, and I tell you what, it's a life lesson as well. You can be wrong and right. I don't want to see negativity and toxicity when we don't do that. That is the biggest result we've had under Erik ten Hag. It's probably one of the biggest results we've had in the last decade. We very rarely do that type of thing. So I don't want to see it's only Barnsley, because we didn't do this last season to the equivalent of Barnsley. And we didn't do this last season to the equivalent of Southampton in the Premier League either. So I think that what we need to really accept here is, and Marcus Rashford's a prime example of it as well, is that we live in a world where people want to be red and green, and I just want to be red. But no, what I mean is like that there is amber, and there is right and wrong, and there is wrong that becomes right, and there is right that becomes wrong. And that's the great thing about football. If football was predictable, everybody would be bloody right. You can write a player off, and then the next thing you know, they're suddenly playing well. Didn't make you a wrong when you criticise them, but you've got to praise them when they're doing well. And it's the same with the manager, and it's the same with Manchester United. We have been shit. We have been wide open in the midfield. We have conceded loads of chances. We've hardly created chances. We've got to the, we've been on the break and we've shot from stupid areas. And if you can't see the progression in Manchester United this season, then you're not watching the same game. And also, what does a Ten Hag outer do tonight? Do you acknowledge the very clear change in the way that we're playing, which we'll discuss in a minute? Or do you keep complaining about things that aren't happening anymore? You can still be Ten Hag out. You don't need to change your mind. You can still not trust Rashford. You don't have to change your mind. But why would you not praise it when there is absolutely compelling reasons to say Marcus Rashford looks confident? He played really well again tonight. Ten Hag's team is playing in a more progressive, patient, constructive way, and we're tackling better. Like, yes, it's only Barnsley, but please tell me when we beat Barnsley 7-0 last year, or the year before, we weren't capable of doing that to a team last season. We weren't capable of doing that. We weren't capable of doing this many times under Ollie or Mourinho either. There is obviously the elephant in the room that it's a League One side and we should be doing this, but we haven't been doing this. So I think we should praise it, because what we absolutely need to see now is that type of a performance against a Crystal Palace or a Spurs. 100%. That is when the real praise will come. But when that happens, and if that happens, let's not pretend like it's a one-off, because what I'm seeing is confidence growing, maturity, unity, and a different way of playing. So hopefully that can continue, because I loved, my favourite goal was which, I mean, this is great, being forgetful because there were so many. But that goal where Agate wins it in the second half, and then it goes through Rashford, Eriksen to Garnacho, and then he scores. I loved that. I absolutely loved that. Get your player ratings in. We'll go through all that in a moment. But look, stylistically, I just want to say this. When you're... there's two words I'm going to talk about here. Cut back. We don't do this under Ten Hag. Last season, we don't do this. We concede this. We concede goals from cutbacks, and in my lifetime, a cutback, which is a cross that is cut back, normally from very close to the byline, those goals come from patience and construction. So when we were conceding those goals last year, it was because teams were passing through us to such a deep extent that they were cutting back and then were scoring. We don't score those goals. We don't get anywhere near a cutback, because to cut the ball back, you've got to go to the byline. You've got to go to the byline, cut it back like we did against Southampton, like we did a couple of times today. Technically, even Bruno's is a technical cutback, because although it's not quite a cutback, he's very close to the touchline when he puts the cross in for Eriksen. We've been doing that a lot this season. That was an impossibility last season. We wouldn't even be anywhere near that touchline to cut it back, because we'd be on the edge of the box shooting with Rashford or Anthony or Bruno. I didn't see hardly any of that today. It was almost like Ten Hag said to them, you're getting fined if you shoot from the edge of the box, because everything we did was almost about walking it in. And look, I want to see us shoot from the edge of the box again, I do, but I don't want to go back to last season. But what really stands out is, and we saw it against Southampton, we saw it against Fulham, and we saw it against Brighton, is this patience in the final third. And I think when you're creating chances from a cutback, that shows you that how did we get there? We didn't get there from a long ball from the goalkeeper. We got there from a few passes to work that situation for a Delo or an Anthony or a Garnacho to get in the position to cut it back, which means, and it's very, very visible compared to last season, that we are getting hold of possession better. And when we're getting hold of possession, we're actually using it in a more patient way. Now, that's something that's been levelled at us for a very long time. Why is it happening? Fundamentally, I think it's coming from the coach and the training ground, and I think the players are adopting it. They seem much more in tune with the fact that they will get more chances by playing as a team, and it's great to see. I also think that pivot worked really well today, and I know it's only Barnsley, but you can't do something with the ball if you haven't got the ball. And you will concede more chances if you haven't got the ball. We are better in possession this season, and we are winning the ball back better. We're not shooting and giving the possession up cheaply. We're not getting caught offside as much, and we're winning the ball back better. But we have to do it against better teams. I absolutely agree. We've got to do it against better teams. But what I find encouraging is last season against Barnsley, we wouldn't have done that. We wouldn't have played like that. It would have been very different. You know, I think about Newport County. Remember Newport County? 2-0 up in no time, and then everyone starts shooting, indisciplined, and we didn't do it. And I think that's the contrast for me. Look at Newport County in the FA Cup, who were worse than Barnsley, and we couldn't dispatch them because it's it's a mentality. It's about looking after the ball. It's about creating chances. And if you can't see that, go and watch what we did. I mean, John says it's fucking Barnsley. John, go to bed or put your Liverpool pyjamas on because you're not a Man United fan, John. And if you are a Man United fan, I'd suggest you actually watch us. I've just given you an example of which there are plenty. We've never done that before, John. We don't do that. We don't beat teams like that, creating that volume of chances. We simply don't do it, John. So saying it's only Barnsley, what were you moaning about last week then? What were you moaning about next week? You know, if we did that to Man City, John will come in and say, we're not as good as the 99 side. I mean, it's just being miserable for no point. If you support the football club and you want us to get better, we're not suddenly going to go from shit to winning the treble. We've got to go on a journey. And what some of us want to see is progression. Some of us want to see signs of, getting better. It could all come crashing down on Saturday, John. We could easily lose at Selhurst Park and all this will just be hope, buried. But many of us want it to be the start of something. So we're trying to be positive. We're trying to feed that praise and optimism so that the players know that we're happy about it. You know, that's what we're trying to do. I love today, mate, says Tom Kent. Seen some differences, but how Liverpool dominated us, I'm still worried. Mate, we're not Liverpool. You know, this is one thing we also need to do. Stop running before we can walk. Marcus Rashford isn't back. Man United are not back. Garnacho is not the best player since sliced bread. Agate is not Rodri. Hopefully they can become back and everything like that, but we've got to be patient. We're coming back from a long way. People say it's just Barnsley. Let's remember we did it in the Community Shield a few times as well. Patience and creating chances, says Shahin. Great result, but Anthony's still poor, says Lidl. Is the end of Moments FC, says Not a Number. Ahmad Garnacho Rashford giving Eric Ten Hag a big headache, says Harvey Specter. 100%. We're lost without Sancho, says Zero Connector. It's only Barnsley, but we look like we were playing for fun, which creates great football, says CFC. Great performance, Mark, but we have to take this energy and confidence into the next game. 100%, Hamza, I agree. We're in danger of getting used to comfortable wins. Biggest positive tonight was unselfishness and great places, McAlvis. I'm disappointed we didn't get 8, says Paulson. And Yash says, I'm so happy. I'll tell you what, though, even if you think it's only Barnsley, even if you think, you're not that impressed, one thing that I think everybody has to agree with is the massive headache, the enjoyable headache that Ten Hag has, in the sense that what do you do on Saturday? What do you do on Saturday? Talk to me. What do you do? Because for me, I want to see Xerxes play down the middle because of his, build-up play and his physicality. But then that means you can only pick Ahmad, Garnacho, Rashford 2 from 3. He's never going to drop Rashford. And I don't think he should. I think Rashford's scored 3 goals in 2 games. Why would you pick him for weeks when he's been playing badly and then drop him when he's playing well? So Rashford will start. I think Ahmad has to start on the right, which means, unbelievably, Garnacho is on the left, who has also scored 3 goals in 2 games. I mean, Marcus Rashford's big thing is he scored 3 goals in 2 games. Hello, so's Garnacho, and I think he's got more assists as well. So that's a massive, massive headache. And some people in the chat are saying, well, just play Rashford at striker. But I don't think Rashford at striker actually will work in the Premier League. I think it will work against Barnsley because the defenders are a little not as good. But I think Rashford's better off the left. I don't think he'll work up front. He's not physical. He can't play with his back to goal. And I think you need Xerxes for that. He might do it. He might solve it by not playing Xerxes, you're right. But I personally think I would rather have 3 wingers that deserve to start and one of them's chomping at the bit on the bench than try and fit them into a system that really won't suit Rashford in his best position. But he might do that. And then what about Eriksen? We beat Southampton with Eriksen and Mainu. Will he play Eriksen, Mainu and Bruno against Crystal Palace? Because Eriksen's just had a really good game. Honestly, I wouldn't go anywhere near Eriksen in a midfield 2 against Crystal Palace. I really wouldn't. It's got to be Agate or Casemiro. But again, many people, I'm sure Ricky will be saying it, Eriksen deserves to start. So these are headaches I want to have. If he starts Eriksen and we get beat because of it, well, Ten Hag made the decision. If he drops Rashford and we don't win, then Ten Hag made the decision. But this is where we want to be. We want to be in a position where we've got competition for places. And I think that's the big thing about tonight. Everybody in that team staked a claim. And now we go into Palace going, shit, what do we do here? Like, do we make a change here? Do we not make a change here? And you look at the bench and you go, he's in form. He's in form. So, and then you've got FC20 after that, where maybe you can give Anthony a run out or, Casemiro again. So look, massive positives from that. And I'm really, really happy with it. And as I said at the start, you can be right and you can be wrong. Look, we've spoke a lot about Rashford, but let's talk about Eriksen. Eriksen's a cracking one. I said in the summer he needs to go. His legs are gone. There's no point in keeping Eriksen anymore. He's on 150k a week. He needs to go. I like him, but he needs to go. And actually, in the last 2 games, we've not conceded a goal. We've scored, let me count, 10. And he's proven that he can be part of this team. I don't think I was wrong in the summer to say he needs to go. But, where we are now, he's a very, 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 very valuable member of the squad. Same with Anthony. A lot of people don't like Anthony. And I was saying this the other day. Look, I'd have got rid of Maguire in the summer, to be honest. Lindelof, Eriksen, Casemiro, they'd all be gone. But when that transfer window door shuts, they're part of this squad. And if they can be part of this squad and actually serve a purpose, then great, And I think Maguire and Evans today allowed Martinez and De Ligt to not play. And Mainu had a complete rest tonight as well. So, look, you can be right and you can be wrong. And honestly, I feel no guilt for criticising some of these players in the past. And I would hope that being professional sportsmen, they realise that criticism comes because they're not performing in the shirt that we care about. But the most important thing is with criticism, it has to be praise. And I would say in relation to Anthony, who gets too much criticism, in my opinion, I think it's unfair. Maybe that's because I live in the UK and I see the media all the time. I mean, even today, there was another ex-player talking about Anthony and I was like, he hasn't been playing. Like, how many times are you going to say you think he's shit? What are you talking about? And then tonight, I thought as a backup winger, he did okay. He ain't never getting in the first team. Like, I thought Anthony did well, but he's just simply not as good as Rashford, Ahmad or Garnacho. That's the bottom line. But as a 4th choice winger, who you hope you're not going to need to use anyway, what's the problem? What is the problem with Anthony tonight? He's got a goal. He was far more patient on the ball. I mean, I think Anthony was a prime example of a player that for some reason, coaching, calmed the fuck down. There was time. How many times did Anthony have a shot from distance? He had 1 towards the end and the keeper tipped it over the bar. Normally, he'd have had 4 in the first 10 minutes. So he's looking after the ball. He's always going to work hard, but he's looking after the ball. So I just think the team is playing in a different way. Rashford letting Anthony take the penalty shows that they're getting on better. Not Anthony and Rashford, but the team in general. So I don't have a problem with any of these players at the moment. I think that when we score goals, you can see there's unity. There's hunger. There's desire. There seems to be a collectiveness. There seems to be smiles on the face. And after last season, I mean, I think that's just great. What we want to do is be competing with our rivals. We don't want to be competing within the team as well. I thought Anthony did well tonight. Absolutely, probably the same as Binder. Like, there's just no way he's dislodging Onana or Ahmad. It's not going to happen. But there will hopefully be games in the future that they can play where we can give other players a rest. Did you see me on TV with the banner at the front, says Foggy? I saw a few people, so I probably did see you. English Saturn says, I'm totally ecstatic about today, but it means nothing if we lose to Palace. I agree. Garnacho, 4 left, Rashford striker, Ahmad right wing. I disagree, Keel. I don't think Rashford's a good striker in the Premier League. I think he's got to play on the left. Let's not forget Højlund's got to come back as well, Mark, says Rennell. United losing is bad for my health. Let's be happy we won, says Human. And any reason Wheatley didn't get a run out, don't know, little on quality. Just needed to say that I couldn't have sworn the people in my local pub in Philadelphia were United stand listeners. The influence is real, Mark. Fantastic, that guy, wherever you're watching from. Thank you very much. Make sure you subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. And please do smash a like on the video. Right, we're going to go into the player ratings, but I just wanted to have that bigger chat there. I think it's important. See a lot of people saying Bayern score 9 in the Champions League. Relevant how? We aren't Bayern. Few teams are. People just can't celebrate this type of victory, says Elliot. Look, I get it. I'll be honest with you. Before I do the player ratings, I'll be completely honest with you. If you have been ranting and moaning like you have been for the last few weeks about Ten Hag getting the sack, I'd be stunned if you were Ten Hag in now. You refuse to believe what I said yesterday morning, because I read the comments. You refuse to believe that stylistically there's a change. You refuse to believe that being 6th in the league for passes and chances is progress. So you've got to stick with that. I get that. I respect that. You're Ten Hag out and you're not going to change. I think it's sad that you can't enjoy games like tonight because you need this to lose for the manager to go. It's a difficult place to be in. But as I said, if we lose to Palace, which is a difficult game, you'll have your moments again. You'll be proved right again, won't you? We're not out of jail yet, but we are digging that tunnel, I suppose. And the question's going to be, will it be Shawshank Redemption or will it be Prison Break? Or will we get caught? We don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see. But we've put ourselves in a difficult position because we lost 2 of our first 4 Premier League games. We've now got to play Palace, Spurs and Villa, and they're difficult. They're difficult games in a difficult league. Mark, would you play Casemiro and Agate against Palace? Says Narnbread. I think Agate's got to start. He's got to start. I mean, I'm going to talk about Agate in a moment, but I suppose I'll speak less about him when I do the player ratings because I've got to say this. Agate, I'm reading the chat today. And I'm loving it because we did a video on Agate a few weeks ago. And basically, I said in that video, he's fast. In the midfield, you never talk about pace. Up front, yeah. Right back, yeah. Centre back, yeah. Winger, yeah. But in the midfield, you never talk about pace. He's really quick. That's why he makes so many tackles, because he's so quick. It's not just anticipation and physicality. He's quick. Really quick. He's also brilliant at winning the ball back. We're very lucky that he's not out for 3 months because that tackle on him was vicious. But he is going to make a massive difference to this team. The question is, it is only Barnsley, isn't it? Can he do that against Crystal Palace? Can he do that against Spurs? Because if he can, it's a game changer. And this is why we bought him. Because he will win so many tackles that it will win us the ball back. And then we're very good with the ball at the moment. Would you play Anthony at left back, says Spider? He won't want to play at left back. He doesn't want to play at left back, mate. He's not going to want to play at left back, so he's not going to do a good job at left back. Let's go through the player ratings. Okay, I'm going to go with... I'm going to give Binder a 6.5. 6.3 is fair. I think that, yeah, he didn't have anything to do. His distribution was quite good. He's not going to dislodge Onana, if we're being completely honest, but what more can he do? Now, Delo for me is a 7.5. I genuinely thought he was man of the match at half-time. I think he's so intelligent in the way that he can become that extra player in the midfield. He's got an engine like a bloody Audi Q7. They just never stop. No, they're a bit of a gas... I don't want to get into cars, but I'm not great with cars. But he's just up and down like a yo-yo, relentlessly. So much more comfortable at right back because that's his position. I think Delo is and I agree with David Campbell, 7.5. Wayne Finnegan says, efficient, professional and strong. Binder was my man of the match, says Wayne. Interesting. But I think that with Delo, he's got to be a man of the match contender. Obviously, he didn't score 2 goals, but I thought he was absolutely fantastic. Really, really good performance from him. Maguire, I'd give Maguire and Evans both a 6. And in, you know, I don't mind people giving them a 6.5. I really don't. But why I'd give Maguire and Evans as a 6, and you can give it a 6.5, I do agree with you. But I just genuinely don't think they had anything to do. And I think if I'm giving Delo 7.5, I do think there was quite a big difference between them. And sometimes you can play a game of football and really you don't have a lot to do. And I thought Johnny Evans and Maguire both could have had a cigar on if they wanted to, because they didn't have a lot to do. And, you know, you can't create great performances. It's hard for centre-backs, really, in a game like that. And it's the same with Binder. It's hard. So probably 6.5 is fair. You know what? Collier, I felt sorry for him in the first half, but I'm going to give him a 6.5 just out of generosity for doing a job for us in a position that was really difficult. You know, to chuck him in at left back, he really struggled in the first half. He really, really did. And it's dangerous for him because this is a young player that we're trying to develop. And Kobe Mainoo didn't get thrown in at left back last year, did he? He's playing out of position. And it's so difficult to play out of position. So I think, again, a bit like when he came on against Liverpool, he's come on and he's done a job for us, hasn't he? And hopefully it will be character building because I think 6.5, doing a job, a bit like Delo. There were weaknesses there, but it's not his position. Casemiro tonight, I think you've got to give him a strong 7. I thought he was... Look, we're all assuming here it's only Barnsley, aren't we? So I'd give him a strong 7. I thought it was a strong 7 from Casemiro. Little bit slow at the start, but once he got into the game, tempo was good. And yeah, look, nice to see Casemiro back after that Liverpool game. He's going to be an important player for us. He's got to keep his fitness up. He's got to keep his sharpness up because there is still that, you know, laziness in the pass sometimes and lateness into the tackle. But very important player for us, and it's going to be a squad game this season. Garte for me was a 7.5. Again, like Delo, man of the match contender. Only played 60 minutes like Delo and Rashford. There'll be somebody putting a stat out tonight about ball retention and how he plays and keeps the ball. He's so efficient at that. But he's also so physical and quick, as I've already said. My big thing about Garte is a bit like Man United tonight. It is genuinely a very, very good performance. It is genuinely something we don't normally do. But the genuine question is, can we do it against better teams in the Premier League? And it's the same with Garte. It is genuinely a good performance. And it is genuinely the type of player that we don't have. But can he do it against the bigger teams? So, look, it was genuinely very good. But we need to see it against better teams. Eriksen tonight's got to be a 7.5 for me. I mean, again, man of the match contender. I have to say this about Eriksen. It's Barnsley and he ain't got the legs anymore. I'm not going to change my mind about it. He hasn't got the legs to play in a midfield too. He just hasn't. So he's got to play in the Bruno role, which he's never going to get. But I like to see Eriksen in the 10 because that's what I've always thought Eriksen was. I've never seen him as a 6 or an 8. And he's probably going to be on Saturday in the very ridiculous position where you're man of the match contender in your last game and you're on the bench. But that's competition for places. That's what we need. But both his goals were brilliant, especially the second goal. But I liked that front post move with Bruno as well. So look, very good performance from Eriksen, and I'm sure Ricky will be waxing lyrical. Anthony, look, I'm gonna give him a 6.5. I'm not gonna run away with it. I don't think it was as good as Casemiro's 7. I think that would be a bit unfair on Casemiro to say that Anthony had the same game. But I do think it was probably one of his best performances in a long time. But I know that most of his performances have been 3s and 4s. So I think the penalty was good. His ball retention was good. I agree with people who have obviously given him a 7. But for me, it was a 6.5. Alejandro Garnacho has to be a man of the match contender on an 8. I think it's going to come down to these two. Look, genuinely, Sky gave it to Rashford. No problem with that. I'm going to give it to Garnacho. But I'm going to give them both an 8. And I'll explain why I'm going to give it to Garnacho. But I just want to say, it will be between Garnacho and Rashford because they got 2 goals. But so did Eriksen. I thought Ugarte was good. And also, I think Delo played well as well. So if anybody went for any of them 5 of man of the match, I wouldn't argue with any of you. That's all I'm going to say. You could have gone Rashford, Garnacho, Delo, Ugarte or Eriksen. One of those 5, And I think different people will go for different things. The reason I've gone for Garnacho is that obviously he should have had a hat-trick. His easiest chance he should have scored. So he should have had a hat-trick. And also he created goals as well. And I just think that I'm a massive Garnacho fan because he just makes things happen. Like at the weekend, he got the guy sent off and then he scored a goal as well. I think we're ridiculously lucky at the moment that we've got Ahmad, Garnacho and Rashford playing really well at the same time. And I hope it happens all season because it's going to be a fascinating battle to watch. What we need to do as fans is not start doing what's happened in the past. Bruno's better than Pogba. Pogba's better than Bruno. We've got to be watching and enjoying this and encouraging them all. You can definitely have a favourite. I prefer Garnacho out of Ahmad and Rashford, if I'm being completely honest. But I really like Rashford and Ahmad, and I think they will start at the weekend, and I agree with that. So I just hope they can keep it up because we're really lucky at the moment. But again, it's the same as what I said about Agate and the result. It is only Southampton and Barnsley, according to many people. So we need to see who can do it against the big teams because that's going to be the real test because maybe one of them is only able to do it against the not so good teams. That's the challenge. But I think Garnacho could be in the same position as Eriksen, where man of the match contender and he's on the bench fighting for his place. Rashford, what can we say that we haven't already said? I agree. I said it in the preview that starting him today up front was a great idea from Ten Hag because you want to build on that confidence, the catch-up thing. We want to keep it flowing. And obviously he took his first goal really, really well. Took his second goal really, really well. I think Garnacho fed him in for that one. And just seemed to play much calmer. You know, when he was scoring the goals, there was none of this. There was none of this overreaction. There was a maturity. He let Anthony take the penalty. There was a maturity. I saw him talking to Johnny Evans on the touchline. There's a maturity there. If he's in the right headspace, because he wasn't last season, was he? If he's in the right headspace, then, you know, if Marcus Rashford can score 20 goals, we'll be in the top 4. It's as simple as that. If he doesn't, we might not be. So I'm really happy with those 3 players at the moment. Mazraoui, I'm just going to give him a 6. I'm going to give De Ligt a 6. I'm going to give... Oh, no, actually. Yeah, 6.5, 6.5. Bruno, it's got to be a 7, hasn't it? Got to be a 7. Came on and got 2 assists, I think. Yeah, very good cameo from Bruno late on. Very, very good cameo. Ahmad, 6.5. Xerxes, 6.5. And look, Ten Hag tonight, we've just won 7-0. 8. Good football. 7 goals. Clean sheet. Very good use of subs. Very clever to put Rashford up front for confidence. Agate played 60 minutes. Eriksen was fantastic. I mean, look, I know there's people who are Ten Hag out there, but I mean, realistically, you can't let hate drive you. You've got to give him credit for that. I thought it was very good all round. There's no negative. No one's got injured. No one was. I mean, at a stretch, I'd like to have seen Harry Amas involved. That's it for me. That's it. Your man of the match was Garnacho. I'm surprised. Well, I'm not surprised because that was my man of the match. Intriguingly, Rashford got 27% of the vote. And then it was Eriksen and Agate. Delo got next to nothing. But there you go. Garnacho's your man of the match. Smash a like on the video. This is what I want it to be like. I want it to be competitive for man of the match. I want it to be, you know, everybody's getting over a 6 because, God, it's not been like that. But all in all, just enjoy it. Really, really, really happy with that tonight. Fantastic. I'll be back at 10 o'clock in the morning for you. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe. But we're going over to the studio now because it's fan forum time. Get over there, see what they've got to say. I'm sure, I don't know whether Ricky's actually on. If he is on, I'm sure it's the Eriksen show. Speak to you in a bit. Oh, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. I'm still live because I've forgotten to do something. Oh, no, I haven't. That should be there. There we go.